And if I set him, he'd never be elected again.
President Trump in Washington Township, Michigan, seeming to threaten Senator Jon Tester of Montana, the Democrat on the Veteran Affairs Committee, who this week released information that he had been given, unverified information, about Dr. Ronny Jackson, who was at one point the nominee to be Veterans Affairs Secretary. And the president has been going after Tester very hard after Dr. Jackson withdrew
Says he won't win
his nomination. We're joined by some new members of our august panel. Carrie Sheffield, I want to bring you in, conservative commentator, national editor of Accuracy in Media. There are two sides to this, right?
Sure.
Look, there's a question about whether Jon Tester should have released the information he should have released, but now there's this question about whether the President of the United States should be going in front of a large rally and saying, I know things about Jon Tester that I could tell you.
Sure. Well, I think that's him speaking in frustration. So if you look at the record of confirmation, in modern presidential history, this president has seen the fewest number of nominees who have been approved. We're talking 51% through his first year versus 60, 70, 80% for other presidents. So I think there's a basic lack of trust, a basic lack of decorum, a basic
Hold on, doesn't that
lack
come down
of
fundamentally to the White House not vetting this nominee first?
Yeah. Well, here's the question. Did the Barack Obama White House not properly vet this nominee?
Mike.
No, but what I'm saying, if there was indeed a major, massive, possibly criminal behavior by this physician, why didn't the Barack Obama White House discover this previously? And why didn't Jon Tester flag that at that moment?
It's just it's not the previous administration's job to vet the current administration's nominee.
Sure, but why
in any realm of reality?
But Senator Tester, why did not he step up? If he knew this information, how long was he sitting on this information? And so I think
no evidence he was sitting on it at all. I mean, our reporters are starting to get this information from something like 20 sources. People continue to come forward. We don't have any names yet, and that troubles me. We should have names on the record soon, or not, if it's not true. But to put this on Barack Obama, my God, Carrie, that is just ridiculous.
I also want to point out this talking point about how there are too few Trump nominees getting through is just bogus. I mean, you have more than half a dozen cabinet members who have been accused of using taxpayer money to do extravagant office redecorations and private jet flights. You have lots of other scandals throughout this administration. If anything, there's too little, if anything, the Senate is pushing through nominees too quickly rather than too slowly. It's not these, immigrants who need extreme vetting. It's cabinet members, right? And this is a prime example.
And his judges are being approved at a record rate after Barack Obama's judges were blocked. So
well, you can call it a talking point if you want, but the reality is that the results that these people who have been able to get through is remarkable, and that's why the president. No, absolutely. In terms of the regulatory rollback, you see the Wall Street Journal reporting the billions of economic growth that will be brought to pass by the rollback in regulatory.
Let me ask this: we're also joined tonight by CNN presidential historian Douglas Brinkley in the panel right now. Doug, again, back to the question of the president threatening Jon Tester. I know things about Jon Tester. I know that presidents dating back, to our, well, not our first president, because George Washington was really nice, but every president after that basically has very sharp elbows, although I don't specifically recall a president essentially saying, I know things about this guy.
Right.
Not in a speech like that. If you listen to the Nixon tapes, it's all sorts of that information, but it's done in a
But that's an interesting comparison.
Right. It's done in a subterranean way. I think we all need to recognize that Admiral Jackson's a great American. He had great service. He was, beloved by George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Donald Trump. But he got caught up in the maw. He became debris in the superhighway of our news culture today. The White House didn't vet him properly. Donald Trump threw him on Congress. And then I think Senator Tester got ahead of himself doing media appearances, particularly with Anderson Cooper, when he called him the Candyman, which seemed to me a little bit of an extra knife put in that wasn't helpful. So Trump didn't vet properly. Tester, I think, went after him in a ad hominem way
And I think that speaks to the level of bias that this White House is having to deal with, the level of people who go after in an ad hominem way. That's why my alma mater, the Harvard Kennedy School, found that 90% of press coverage of this president has been negative. So you want to talk about the president skipping this dinner?
You're talking about a study looking at select in the first 100 days of the presidency.
I would imagine that it's probably even worse, if not comparable. Are you saying that you think it's been better?
I'm not saying anything other than the fact of you're pointing to a study about the first 100 days. Paris Denard is a big supporter of the